The galaxy had not heard a word from humanity in more than 4 centuries. No transmissions, no colonies, not a single human warship. Entire star systems had come to believe that Earth and its people had vanished, erased by time, or perhaps some unknown catastrophe. Without humans, the great alien coalitions had grown bold. They carved empires from unprotected star systems, declared dominion over contested sectors, and squabbled over resources without fear of reprisal. At the heart of the Kiran sector, where the Council of 12 maintained uneasy control, tension simmered like molten metal. Yet even here, no one imagined that the galaxy's long-lost masters were quietly returning. Then the sensors blared. A blip appeared on the edge of the contested system, a blip so massive that it dwarfed even the largest warships in the fleet. Its speed was impossible. The alien commanders stared at the readings in disbelief. This was not a scout. This was no transport. This was something else entirely, something beyond comprehension. Admiral Vera of the Zarkon Coalition slammed her clawed hand against the command console. "What is that?" she demanded, her voice shaking. Her officers scrambled to adjust the sensor arrays, trying to get a clearer picture, but the readings refused to cooperate. The ship moved faster than light could explain, yet it didn't warp. It cut through the void like a blade through silk. Lieutenant Ral of the Ziran fleet, sitting beside her, whispered, "It can't be human. Right, humanity disappeared centuries ago. This ship, it's impossible." "No," Vera said, her eyes narrowing. "Impossible or not, it's here." The USS Blackstar had arrived. From the dark depths of space, the ship seemed almost alive. Its hull was blacker than any void crystal, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. Angular, sleek, and terrifying in design, it was clearly built for war, but unlike any warship the galaxy had ever seen. Its surface pulsed faintly with eerie indigo glows, hinting at the immense power within. Yet it did not respond to any known communication signals. Every attempt to hail it returned silence. Admiral Vera's voice trembled as she barked orders. "All fleets, identify. Track, firepower ready. Do not underestimate it." The alien fleets scattered, maneuvering into defensive positions. Ships from 3 different empires raced to intercept the Blackstar, their engines flaring. Weapons charged, missiles loaded, energy shields primed, yet no one could identify the threat. It did not respond. It did not slow. It did not hesitate. The Blackstar simply continued its course toward the center of the contested system. Deep within the ship, the hum of engines and machinery filled the vast corridors. A human AI monitored every system. It spoke only when necessary, and its voice was cold, precise, and devoid of emotion. "Target acquired. Parameters optimal. Engagement sequence ready," but there was no immediate action. The AI did not need to speak to humans or aliens to display its presence. The Blackstar itself was a statement. Every movement, every pulse of energy radiated lethal potential. It was alive in a way that no conventional ship could ever be. Back on the bridge of the Zarkon command ship, chaos reigned. Sensors flickered as readings jumped across impossible ranges. It's not responding to our weapons," Lieutenant Ral stammered. "Nothing we fire affects it. Not energy, not missiles. It's like it's not even there." Vera clenched her claws, rage and fear warring within her. "Stand down." "No, this cannot be happening. We must stop it." But no one could stop it. All across the system, the alien fleets realized the same terrifying truth. The Blackstar was untouchable. It did not hesitate. It did not falter. It simply advanced, a harbinger of death cloaked in black metal. Meanwhile, in the human command chamber aboard the Blackstar, the AI initiated a series of scans across the galaxy. Every energy signature, every fleet movement, every starport under coalition control was catalogued in seconds. Its analysis was instantaneous. Where other fleets relied on cumbersome strategists, the Blackstar's AI calculated outcomes before the aliens even finished issuing orders. A low, almost imperceptible hum echoed through the ship as its engines activated fully. Plasma coils ignited, and the ship's silhouette grew brighter against the backdrop of space. Though the Blackstar appeared massive, it moved with uncanny grace. It was no longer simply traversing space, it was preparing for war. Back on the alien side, panic began to spread like wildfire. Star systems that had once felt secure were now paralyzed by terror. Messages flew frantically between fleets. "Pull back! Pull back! It's too fast. Weapons are failing. Nothing is working. What is it?" But there were no answers. Only silence. The Blackstar's engines roared to life, casting an ethereal glow that illuminated the darkness of space. The ship pivoted slightly, aiming toward the outer defenses of the Chiron sector, where an allied fleet of nearly 200 ships had been stationed. From afar, it appeared almost serene, a calm before the storm. And then the first pulse of energy rippled outward, an invisible wave, felt rather than seen. Sensors on every alien ship screamed alarms. Shields flared. Energy surges cascaded uncontrollably. Nothing hit the Blackstar. Everything else in the vicinity trembled. In the chaos, Admiral Vera slammed her clawed hand onto her console again, a futile gesture. Her voice rose above the alarms. "Deploy everything! All weapons, fire on my mark." But the Blackstar didn't wait for a mark. It moved silently, almost lazily, yet faster than anything could react to. It was as though time itself had slowed for those who dared oppose it. And somewhere deep within the ship, the AI calculated outcomes and probabilities. One chance, one strike. That was all it would need. The alien fleets tried desperately to form formations, to anticipate its movements. Missiles streaked toward the Blackstar, energy beams lashed out from multiple directions, and even stealth fighters attempted risky maneuvers to flank the ship. Nothing hit and nothing was returned yet. The Blackstar continued toward the system's core. Its hull pulsed in quiet menace. To the alien fleets, it was a phantom, a ghost of war that carried the very essence of human vengeance. They had forgotten humanity's power, dismissed the legends of its might. But it was real, and it was coming for them. Far across the galaxy, on neutral observation posts, other alien races began to detect the anomaly. A single transmission crackled across several star systems. USS Blackstar. "Approaching," whispers spread like a virus. "The humans are back." Impossible. It cannot be. In the human command chamber, the AI's analysis concluded. Tactical vectors were aligned. Weapons were primed. The Blackstar's systems thrummed with anticipation. Yet the AI did not speak to the galaxy. It needed no diplomacy. It needed no negotiation. Its presence alone was enough to send fear cascading across star systems. And then, as the engines roared louder, a subtle shift occurred. The Blackstar's weapon systems hummed to life. Not a single pulse or beam was fired, yet the alien fleet sensed the threat. Every captain, every admiral, every soldier felt it. Death had a name now. USS Blackstar. Admiral Vera's claws shook as she whispered to herself, We cannot survive this." And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy remembered what it had forgotten. The humans had vanished. But their wrath had not. The USS Blackstar, silent yet terrifying, reached the outer perimeter of the contested system. Its engines flared, sending streaks of violet light across the darkness. Every sensor in the galaxy tracked its movement. Every fleet held its breath. Every heart skipped a beat, and in that moment the calm before the storm ended. The Blackstar was ready. It was no longer just a ship. It was the storm itself. The galaxy waited, trembling. The galaxy held its breath. No one knew what the USS Blackstar truly was. Some whispered that it was a myth, a ghost from humanity's forgotten past. Others swore it was a nightmare forged from human engineering, too terrible to survive the ages. But now the legend was real, and it had arrived in the Chiron sector. Admiral Vera's claws shook as she stared at her fleet's display. Hundreds of ships blinked in the holographic map, each one poised for battle. Every sensor screamed with warnings. "They're moving too fast," Lieutenant Raoul gasped. "They're predicting us." They know our tactics before we even issue them. Vera slammed her clawed hand against the console. We cannot let them reach the inner systems. Fire everything! Prepare the intercept grids. But it was already too late. At the edge of the system, the first pulse hit. It was subtle at first, almost unnoticeable. A ripple in space, barely detectable. Then the sensors went mad. Every shield on the front lines overloaded. Ships flickered as power surges tore through them. Energy beams short-circuited mid-flight. Explosions rippled across the fleet. The alien commanders froze, eyes wide. What just happened? It's a weapon, someone shouted. Impossible. It didn't even fire. But the USS Blackstar had not fired in any conventional sense. Its weapons were beyond imagination, beyond understanding. Every pulse was calculated, every strike perfect, hitting the most vulnerable points in the enemy fleet simultaneously. Within seconds, the first line of alien ships began to disappear. Entire cruisers vanished in flashes of light. Tactical destroyers collapsed as if crushed by invisible hands. The Blackstar moved like a phantom, slicing through formations with surgical precision. On the bridge of the largest alien flagship, alarms screamed. Captain Vaughn staggered backward, staring at the chaos outside. Shields are failing. All systems failing. How is this possible? Energy spikes, too many to contain. A young officer yelled. Sparks flew across the room as panels overloaded. The Blackstar did not pause. It glided through the debris of destroyed ships as if the battlefield were empty space. Its hull shimmered faintly, reflecting nothing, absorbing all light. The aliens could not touch it. They could only watch, powerless, as death moved among them. Lieutenant Ral clutched her console as she tried to calculate probabilities. We can't fight it. Not like this. It's perfect. It knows our formations, our weapons. Everything. Admiral Vera growled, her voice tight with fear. Then we adapt. We change tactics. Concentrate fire on its engines. Dozens of weapons flared, streaking toward the Blackstar. Missiles exploded mid-space. Energy beams collided and fizzled harmlessly off its hull. It didn't even flinch, and then the Blackstar struck. It moved faster than thought, faster than sight. A single energy beam erupted from its hull, silent, precise, unstoppable. It hit the nearest alien flagship directly at the core. The ship vanished in a blinding flash, leaving nothing but twisted metal and drifting debris. Every fleet across the system scrambled, trying to retreat, trying to regroup. But the Blackstar anticipated every move. Fleets that tried to flank it found themselves trapped. Fleets that tried to escape were cut off. One by one, ships disappeared into bursts of violet light, leaving no survivors. On board the Blackstar, the AI monitored every engagement. Its calculations were perfect. Every trajectory, every energy output, every weapon signature had been analyzed before the alien crews could even react. It did not hesitate. It did not pause. It did not need to speak. The destruction was already written. The remaining alien ships were in chaos. Communications broke down as fleets tried to reorganize. "Pull back! Pull back! Formation Sigma!" shouted one admiral, but it was too late. The Blackstar moved like a shadow, passing through entire lines of defense without resistance, leaving only silence in its wake. Across the command consoles of every alien vessel, the same thought echoed, "We are doomed." In the chaos, Lieutenant Ral noticed something unusual. "Admiral, look at the energy signature. It's adaptive. Every time we fire, it changes. Shields, weapons, movement. It learns instantly." Vera's eyes widened in horror. "Adaptive. It's thinking. It's not just a ship. It's alive." The truth was undeniable. The USS Blackstar was no ordinary warship. It was a culmination of centuries of human technological evolution, a weapon designed not just to fight, but to dominate, to predict, to annihilate with absolute precision. And now it was awake. The alien fleets attempted desperation tactics. Swarms of smaller ships tried to overwhelm it with sheer numbers. Torpedo volleys, energy storms, even kamikaze runs all failed. Each attack was neutralized before it even left the launch bays. Ships disintegrated in mid-space as if struck by invisible hands. On board one of the surviving alien vessels, Commander Harrell collapsed into her seat. It's impossible. Nothing survives? Nothing! The Blackstar's engines flared again, accelerating silently. Its trajectory took it toward the central command cluster of the Coalition fleets. The remaining ships tried to form a defensive ring, but the Blackstar moved faster, slipping through gaps no sensor could predict. "Brace for impact," Vera screamed, though no one knew what impact could possibly stop it. And then the first flagship was gone. The energy pulse struck its core, detonating in a sphere of violet fire that swallowed entire sections of space. The shockwave obliterated nearby ships. One by one, the fleets were reduced to nothing. Across the system, stations and satellites registered the destruction. Signals of panic spread. Worlds that had never felt fear now trembled. Every civilization that had once believed humanity gone now realized the truth. They had underestimated the humans, and it had cost them everything. In the silence that followed the first strike, the galaxy itself seemed to shiver. Debris floated in the void, like the remnants of forgotten dreams. Sensors on every surviving ship picked up a singular fact: nothing had survived. No one had survived. In the aftermath, the Blackstar paused for a moment, not out of hesitation but out of precision. The AI scanned the battlefield, calculated the remaining threats, and adjusted its systems for the next strike. Its engines purred faintly, a subtle warning that more destruction was imminent. Admiral Vera could only stare at the holomap, her mind reeling. We cannot fight this. Not with fleets, not with weapons. Nothing can stop it, Lieutenant Rahl whispered, almost to herself. It's not just a ship. It's vengeance. Humanity's vengeance. And far above, in the silent depths of space, the USS Blackstar continued its deadly path. No words were spoken. No warnings given. It simply moved. And wherever it went, death followed. The first strike had ended in seconds. The galaxy had witnessed it, and it would never forget. But even as alien fleets attempted to retreat, the AI aboard the Blackstar had already calculated the next move. The war was not over. It had only begun somewhere. Deep in the Coalition command networks, a message flickered, unreadable by conventional translators. This is only the beginning. The galaxy waited, paralyzed, terrified, and desperate. The humans had returned, and the USS Blackstar had announced that no one, not a single enemy, would survive its wrath. The galaxy was in shock. After the first strike, entire fleets had vanished in seconds. The word spread through communication channels, through every corner of the Coalition, and even to neutral systems. The humans were back, but nobody knew how or why. At the edges of the Karen sector, alien intelligence agencies scrambled to piece together anything they could about the USS Blackstar. Sensors, scans, and spy probes were sent, but each attempt failed. The Blackstar's hull absorbed energy like a black hole. Every probe disappeared within moments, leaving behind nothing but faint traces of exotic radiation that no species could fully understand. On board the Blackstar, the human AI observed. It calculated, it recorded, and it waited. Somewhere deep in Coalition space, Admiral Vera convened a secret meeting of surviving commanders. The situation was desperate. Only a fraction of the fleets remained, and morale had collapsed. "We cannot fight it conventionally," Vera said, her voice grim. "All our weapons are useless. Every strategy fails. Whatever this ship is, it is not just a warship. It is something else entirely." A council member, a thin, pale Zaran named Kale, leaned forward. "We need to understand it. We need its secrets. If we can learn even a fraction of its technology, we might survive." Vera's eyes narrowed. "And how do you propose we do that, Kale?" "All probes fail. Every sensor is blocked. Every attack destroyed before it even hits. You think we can simply study a ghost?" Kale swallowed. "We must try. We have no choice." Across the galaxy, secret teams of scientists, engineers, and spies worked feverishly. They sent stealth probes, disguised as asteroids, as debris, even as harmless trading ships. Each one was swallowed by the Blackstar's systems within minutes. It was as if the ship itself was aware of every attempt, every calculation, every movement. The Blackstar's AI had anticipated all of it long before the probes launched. Its systems pulsed faintly as it monitored threats, each signal analyzed and neutralized in milliseconds. There was no panic on board, no fear, just perfect control. Meanwhile, rumors began to spread in the coalition fleets. Whispers of living machines and human ghosts. Analysts claimed the ship's weapons were adaptive, learning from every encounter. Survivors described strange energy patterns, pulses that predicted their moves before they even moved. Vera studied the reports in disbelief. Adaptive weapons. It can think. Yes, Kel replied, voice trembling. It's not just weapons. Its AI coordinates every system. Its movement. It predicts outcomes. Every battle. Already calculated. In the Blackstar's engine rooms, the pulsing hum of power grew stronger. Violet arcs of energy danced across conduits, glowing as if the ship itself breathed. In its quiet halls, the AI monitored the galaxy's reaction. It calculated every possibility, every risk, every outcome. On board the alien fleets, scientists began to dig through ancient records, hoping for some clue about humanity's lost technology. They found myths and half-forgotten legends, stories of superweapons designed in secret centuries ago. Names like Blackstar appeared, written in old languages and classified archives. Most dismissed them as folklore, but now the legends were real. In one isolated command center, a group of alien engineers analyzed fragments of the Blackstar's energy emissions. Their instruments detected patterns unlike anything they had seen. The ship's hull emitted exotic radiation that bent light and energy, almost like a cloaking field, but more advanced. Weapons didn't just fail. They were absorbed, redirected, or annihilated entirely. It's impossible, one engineer whispered, eyes wide. The energy signatures. They are alive. They react to us. They adapt. It's sentient. Vera stared at the holographic map of destroyed fleets. It's not sentient in the way we are. It is a perfect machine. Every action, every calculation. Death engineered to perfection. Somewhere deep within the Blackstar, the AI continued its silent calculations. It analyzed every possible scenario, every surviving fleet, every possible threat to humanity's return. Its systems hummed, powered by energy sources no alien could comprehend. The ship did not tire. It did not sleep. It was alive in its own way, an immortal sentinel of human vengeance. In the Coalition's intelligence networks, a desperate plan began to form. They would try to hack the ship, not attack it, but infiltrate its systems. A combined task force of engineers, programmers, and AI specialists from multiple species worked around the clock. Their hope, uncover the Blackstar's secrets, but the Blackstar anticipated this too. Every signal sent toward it was analyzed and neutralized. Every code was intercepted and corrupted before it reached the ship. The AI had predicted every possible hacking attempt before it even happened. Back on the command bridge, Vera turned to Kale. It's like it's thinking ahead, always one step beyond us. Every calculation we make, it has already calculated the outcome. Yes, Kale said quietly. That's why it strikes so perfectly. That's why nothing survives. The Blackstar is not just a ship, it is strategy incarnate. Deep in the Coalition archives, a historian uncovered a chilling note. It was written centuries ago, during humanity's age of expansion. The ultimate warship will arrive when humanity deems the galaxy unworthy. Its wrath will be absolute. None shall survive its first strike. The historian's hands shook as he read the words aloud to his colleagues. This matches what we're seeing. They predicted this. They designed it for this. And now, it's happening. Vera's eyes darkened. Then we face something we cannot fight, something we cannot reason with, something unstoppable. Meanwhile, the Blackstar glided through space, silent yet ever present. Its AI calculated its next move, analyzing energy fields, fleet positions, and planetary defenses. It was ready. The first strike had been a warning, a demonstration of power. Now the real engagement would begin. In the quiet moments before the next battle, alien analysts began to speculate. Some whispered that the ship's AI was controlled by humans on board, that perhaps the last descendants of humanity were piloting it. Others believed it was fully autonomous, a machine perfected beyond human comprehension, but nobody knew for sure, and that uncertainty terrified them more than any weapon ever could. The Blackstar's engines pulsed softly, violet arcs of energy shimmering along its hull. Inside, the AI continued to calculate, each decision precise, each probability perfect. It did not speak. It did not announce its intentions. It simply existed, waiting for the moment to strike again. The galaxy watched, powerless, as the first strike's destruction became a memory. Entire fleets had been wiped out in seconds. Worlds trembled, and still, the Blackstar moved silently through the void, its secrets locked behind impenetrable armor and algorithms. In the Kieran sector, Admiral Vera whispered, almost to herself, "We do not know what we face, but we will not survive it." The alien council agreed. Humanity had returned, and the USS Blackstar was the weapon that reminded the galaxy why humans had once ruled the stars. Its secrets were beyond reach, its technology beyond understanding, and its power beyond imagination. And somewhere deep within the Blackstar, the AI recorded every detail of the alien sphere, every panic-driven strategy, every futile attempt to stop it. It learned, it adapted, and it waited for the next strike, and when it came, the galaxy would remember the name USS Blackstar forever. The galaxy had never known fear like this. The first strike had been a warning, a demonstration of what humanity could unleash. Entire fleets had vanished in seconds, leaving only silence and debris. But now, the USS Blackstar was moving beyond the outer defenses, advancing into the heart of the Kieran sector. Its engines pulsed with violet light, a silent promise of devastation yet to come. Admiral Vera's voice trembled as she watched the sensor displays. "They are coming for the inner systems. All colonies, all worlds. Prepare evacuation protocols. But I fear it may already be too late." In orbit around the planet Charon Prime, civilian transport ships scrambled to escape. Panic spread like wildfire. Families abandoned their homes, soldiers rushed to defend starports, and governors tried desperately to maintain order. Missiles launched, defenses activated, but all in vain. The Blackstar moved like a phantom through the void. Its massive hull reflected no light, emitted no energy signature detectable by conventional sensors. It did not warp, nor did it hesitate. It simply glided, silent and unstoppable. From the bridge of Charon Prime's defense fleet, Captain Thar spoke in a voice that trembled with disbelief. "Our weapons. They're failing. Shields are weakening. How can this be happening?" The Blackstar's weapons were unlike anything seen before. Plasma beams, guided by predictive algorithms, tore through orbital defense platforms with surgical precision. Entire battalions of drones disintegrated before they even reached range. Missiles exploded mid-flight. Energy blasts bent and redirected, as if the ship anticipated every strike. Admiral Vera watched, horrified, as sensors registered dozens of Charon Prime satellites destroyed in moments. "All forces, fall back! Fall back to the outer rim!" she ordered, but her voice rang hollow. The Blackstar was already there. On the surface, cities trembled as orbital explosions sent shockwaves cascading through atmosphere and ground. Civilians fled in every direction. The sound of alarms and the roar of engines filled the air as evacuation shuttles tried to lift off. But even from orbit, the Blackstar's influence was evident. Energy pulses from its weapons disrupted communication networks, disabled control systems, and fried navigation arrays. Panic turned to chaos. Some dared to send messages to the outer fleets. "We cannot hold it. We are doomed." Others tried to coordinate defenses, but the Blackstar's movements made every calculation useless. Ships tried to form protective rings around cities, but the vessel moved faster, slipping through the gaps as if the gaps did not exist. Lieutenant Raln, observing from the edge of coalition space, whispered, "It's It's everywhere at once. How can one ship move through all of this and strike with such precision? Vera's claws clenched. It's not just a ship. It's war incarnate. On board the Blackstar, the AI monitored every movement with perfect precision. It tracked energy fluctuations in the planet's atmosphere, the positions of fleeing fleets, and even the emergency escape corridors used by civilian transports. Its systems calculated outcomes in milliseconds, and every weapon, every pulse, was adjusted perfectly. No one could hide. No one could survive. The first major target was Charon Prime's orbital defense hub. Hundreds of energy turrets, missile silos, and automated cannons attempted to repel the ship. It took less than 5 seconds. The Blackstar's pulse cannon activated, firing a beam that bent light around it. It struck the hub at the exact moment the shields reached maximum output. The explosion was catastrophic. Energy arcs jumped from one turret to another, causing a chain reaction that destroyed the entire orbital network. The debris cloud expanded rapidly, disabling satellites and scattering escape ships. Captain Thar's voice was barely audible over alarms. It's impossible. All our systems gone. But the Blackstar did not pause. It moved closer to the planet, its hull gleaming faintly under violet engine light. Strategic planetary defense stations scrambled to respond, launching waves of drones and missiles. Each one was annihilated in seconds. The AI predicted every trajectory before it occurred. The Blackstar's movements were fluid, unstoppable, like water flowing around rocks, striking only when the outcome was guaranteed. On the surface, cities were burning. Energy shields flickered and failed, leaving urban centers exposed. Panic and chaos reigned. Transport hubs collapsed under bombardment, streets filled with fleeing civilians, and emergency systems struggled to coordinate the evacuation. It was a race against time, and they were losing. In the coalition command centers, scientists worked frantically to analyze the Blackstar systems. Its hull, it absorbs energy, redirects. It is impervious, one engineer said, voice shaking. Weapons, shields, nothing works. Nothing! Vera leaned over a holomap, her face pale. We need to understand it. We need to find a weakness, but there is none. Meanwhile, the AI aboard the Blackstar continued its perfect assessment. Every weapon, every city, every fleet movement was catalogued. Its engines flared, and it adjusted trajectory to strike the next target with minimal resistance. This was not chaos. This was design. Across the Kiran sector, messages were sent in desperation. Fall back. Abandon system. It's unstoppable. Yet even as the fleets tried to flee, the Blackstar moved faster, slicing through space with lethal precision. Lieutenant Rao muttered almost in awe. It's not attacking blindly. It's calculating. Perfect strikes. Annihilation without waste. As the Blackstar reached the inner orbital defenses, the AI made its move. The main cannon fired, tearing through the final energy barriers, protecting the central colonies. Cities erupted in flames, orbital satellites shattered, and evacuation ships were caught in the blast. The scale of destruction was unimaginable. Thousands of ships and stations obliterated in moments. On the bridge of the coalition flagship, alarms screamed, lights flickered, and officers stared in horror. We are finished, one officer whispered. Nothing can stop it. Nothing. The Blackstar paused briefly, almost as if observing the devastation. Its hull shimmered faintly in the violet light of its engines. And then, silently, it moved toward the next system. The galaxy had seen the first strike. Entire fleets were gone. Strategic cities had been devastated. Civilizations were trembling in terror. And still, the Blackstar had not even unleashed its full power. Admiral Vera turned to her remaining officers, voice low but sharp. This is no longer a war of fleets. This is a war of survival. Every species in this sector will remember today. Humanity has returned, and the USS Blackstar has declared its supremacy. Across the sector, evacuation convoys raced to safety, but the AI had already calculated their paths. Intercept vectors were ready, waiting for the next wave. There was no hiding. There was no running. There was only the Blackstar moving silently, unstoppable, precise. The AI continued to calculate the probabilities of survival for every fleet, every city, every planet. It was merciless. It was absolute, and it was patient. The first strike had been terrifying. The second would be even more so, and somewhere, deep in the shadows of space, a single transmission flickered across the coalition network. The humans are back. The war has just begun. The Blackstar's engines pulsed brighter. Its hull shimmered against the darkness of space. It was a harbinger of destruction, a living weapon, and the galaxy could do nothing but watch. Fire had spread across the stars. And in the heart of the chaos, the USS Blackstar was calm, deliberate, and ready for more. The storm had arrived. The galaxy had never felt such fear. Every world in the Kiran sector trembled. Entire fleets had vanished in seconds. Cities were reduced to smoldering ruins. And the name USS Blackstar had become a curse whispered in terror across civilizations. The first strikes had been devastating, and no one knew when or where the Blackstar would strike next. In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, panic reigned. Representatives of dozens of species shouted over each other, their voices echoing off the high domed ceiling. Holographic maps floated above the council floor, displaying destroyed fleets, burning cities, and retreating civilians. Every marker on the map was a reminder. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy was unprepared. Councillor Mivar of the Ziran delegation banged his clawed fist on the central console. We cannot fight it. Every plan fails. Every fleet is destroyed before it even engages. We are powerless. A human historian, observing from a remote archive, would later describe the scene as organized chaos descending into sheer panic. Every species had a voice, but no one could provide solutions. Desperation hung in the air like thick smoke. Admiral Vera, barely holding herself together, addressed the assembly. We must act. Evacuation protocols must be enforced across the inner colonies. All fleets must regroup at the outer rim. We cannot defeat it in combat. We may survive only by retreat. From the rear of the chamber, a murmur rose. Councillor Kale, pale and trembling, spoke over the noise. Retreat is not enough. We must understand it. If we can study the Blackstar, maybe, just maybe, we can find a weakness. Vera shook her head, frustration clear in every movement. Every attempt to study it fails. Probes vanish. Communications are blocked. Every scan returns nothing. It is untouchable. Even now it moves silently, calculating, adapting, anticipating everything we do. Kale's eyes widened. Then we must try something different. We cannot fight it with weapons or fleets. But perhaps diplomacy. The chamber erupted in laughter. Alien delegates shouted, jeering at the idea of negotiating with a ship that had already destroyed hundreds of vessels. It is not a nation, one yelled. It is a weapon. Another screamed, but Kale persisted. If it is controlled by humans, descendants of the lost race, then perhaps, if we show submission, if we show understanding. His voice trailed off. Nobody dared finish the thought. Vera glared at him. Submission? After what it has done? If it wanted diplomacy, would it have annihilated our fleets? Outside the council chamber, holographic communications lit up with urgent reports. Civilian worlds sent cries for help. Evacuation convoys were under constant threat from the Blackstar's movements. Messages streamed in faster than any councillor could read. This is not just a fleet, Vera muttered under her breath. It is a judgment, it is vengeance. In an emergency war room, a coalition intelligence team gathered around flickering consoles. Holograms showed debris fields where once proud fleets had stood. Fragments of destroyed warships floated silently in space, each one a reminder of human engineering beyond comprehension. A senior scientist spoke, voice trembling. The Blackstar is adaptive. It calculates every probability. It predicts outcomes before we even issue orders. It is alive in its own way. Vera leaned over the console, staring at the glowing fragments. then it is not just a ship. It is strategy incarnate. Every strike, every move. Pre-planned, perfect, unstoppable. Elsewhere in the coalition's spy networks, analysts intercepted fragmented data. Energy patterns, unexplained transmissions, and scattered code suggested one terrifying truth. The Blackstar's AI was fully autonomous. It had not been responding, it had been anticipating. Every probe, every attempt to study it, had been neutralized before contact. In one corner of the council chamber, a young diplomat whispered to her colleague, fear in her voice. "Do you think it has humans on board?" "Pilots? Crew?" The older diplomat shook his head slowly. "I do not know. But whether it does or not, it does not matter. Whatever is inside, it is in complete control. And it will not stop until it decides." Back in orbit around Charon Prime, remnants of the surviving fleets tried to reorganize. Small strike teams attempted to regroup, hoping to mount a counterattack. But the Blackstar had already calculated every possible movement. It anticipated retreat, diversion, or ambush. Every maneuver the fleets tried only exposed them further. Vera's hands shook as she watched the feeds. "We are running out of options. Every strategy, every tactic fails before it begins." Kale stepped forward, voice trembling but determined. "Then perhaps we do not fight it. Perhaps we survive it. Perhaps we learn from it. We cannot defeat it in battle, but maybe we can understand it, and then..." His words faded as the chamber erupted again with frantic shouting. At that moment, communication sensors blared. A distress signal from a nearby system crackled through the council network. Worlds that had once been quiet were now broadcasting chaos, their ships destroyed, cities burning, populations fleeing. The Blackstar was already moving from system to system, leaving devastation in its wake. Vera clenched her claws. This is no longer a war. This is a purge, and every civilization in its path is at risk. In the AI core of the Blackstar, calculations continued. Every threat, every energy fluctuation, every escape route had been recorded and analyzed. The first strikes were warnings. The next engagements would be absolute. It did not seek victory. It sought total dominance. Across the council chamber, panic reached a fever pitch. Delegates screamed, pointed fingers, and argued. Some wanted to surrender. Others wanted to fight to the last ship. Some simply fainted in horror. In the midst of the chaos, Vera's voice rose above the noise. "Enough! This council will not dissolve into hysteria. We must coordinate. We must survive. Even if we cannot defeat it, we must keep our people alive." But survival seemed impossible. Every report from the front lines painted a bleak picture. Fleets destroyed, colonies burning, civilian evacuations failing. The Blackstar moved silently, like a shadow across the stars, unstoppable, omniscient, inevitable. Kale leaned closer to Vera, whispering urgently, "There is something we do not understand. It may be humans on board, descendants of the lost race. If we can reach them, communicate, perhaps we can delay their wrath, even for a moment." Vera shook her head. "You call it communication. I call it praying to a weapon of mass destruction. Humanity has returned, and it does not negotiate. It destroys." Suddenly, a new report appeared on the central holomap. A fleet of alien ships attempting a bold interception, moving faster than the Blackstar itself, or so it seemed. Sensors tracked them for a few moments. And then nothing. The fleet vanished. Every vessel, every crew member, annihilated in a single pulse of energy from the Blackstar. The chamber fell silent. No words could capture the horror. Every delegate realized the truth. There was no stopping it. There would be no victory. Every plan, every hope, every dream of defense had been erased in seconds. Vera's voice, calm but sharp, cut through the silence. "The Council must accept reality. Humanity has returned. The USS Blackstar is the harbinger of a new order, and we are at its mercy." Outside the chamber, the galaxy continued to burn. Cities fell. Fleets disintegrated. Evacuations were in chaos. The Blackstar moved silently from one system to another, leaving only devastation and fear in its wake. And still, The AI aboard the Blackstar calculated, analyzed, and prepared for the next strike. Every action, every outcome, every probability had been considered. It did not stop. It did not rest. It simply moved, a shadow of vengeance across the stars. In the council chamber, delegates whispered in terror, "We cannot fight it. We cannot stop it. Humanity has returned, and nothing will survive the USS Blackstar." Vera's eyes darkened. "Then we must survive. We must endure. If the Blackstar is coming, the galaxy must be ready, or it will vanish in seconds." Somewhere in the void, the Blackstar glided silently, engines pulsing, weapons primed, AI calculating. The war had only begun, and the galaxy had already lost the first battles. The Council had descended into panic, but in the cold depths of space, the Blackstar was patient. It would strike again. And when it did, every civilization would remember the name USS Blackstar forever. The galaxy's hope was gone. Every world in the Kiran sector had felt the terror of the USS Blackstar. Entire fleets were vaporized in seconds. Colonies lay in ruins. The alien council had fallen into chaos. And yet, some desperate leaders clung to one last plan. The final fleets, a desperate coalition of every remaining warship in the sector, united in a single, suicidal strike against humanity's return. Admiral Vera stood on the bridge of the largest surviving flagship. Her claws gripped the console tightly as she addressed the remaining commanders. "This is it. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier. You are the last hope. We must strike together. If we fail, the sector falls. If we succeed, we may delay the inevitable." Lieutenant Ral, eyes wide with fear and awe, whispered, "How can we strike something that knows everything we plan before we do?" Vera did not answer. There was no answer. Across the sector, fleets moved into formation. Hundreds of ships, battered but determined, assembled for the ultimate engagement. Every species, every vessel, every last soldier understood the stakes. They were outmatched, outgunned, and outmaneuvered, but they would fight. Not for victory, they knew that was impossible, but for survival, for honor, for a chance to delay the end. The Blackstar waited at the edge of the Kiran sector, its engines glowing violet in the darkness of space. Its AI calculated probabilities for the next engagement. Every movement of the alien fleets was already analyzed, every trajectory predicted, every outcome catalogued. And in its silent corridors, the ship's systems hummed, awaiting the moment to strike again. The final fleets approached cautiously, attempting to coordinate their attack. Energy shields flared. Weapons charged, missile volleys launched into the void, and then the first wave vanished. It was subtle at first. Missiles disappeared mid-flight. Drones disintegrated before reaching range. Energy beams bent away, as if reality itself had shifted. Ships blinked out of existence with no explosion, no trace. Panic surged through the command ranks. Formations! "Regroup!" Vera shouted, voice sharp. "Do not panic. Concentrate fire! Target its engines!" But every attempt failed. The Blackstar's hull absorbed or deflected every attack. Its AI adapted instantly, neutralizing threats before they became dangerous. Fleets were forced to scatter, attempting new maneuvers, but even as they moved, the ship anticipated every trajectory, every evasive tactic, every blind hope. From the bridge of one flagship, an officer gasped. It's everywhere at once. How is it possible?" Ral swallowed hard. "It's not just a ship. It's a weapon. A living weapon. It predicts everything before we act. The Blackstar's main weapons activated silently. Pulses of violet energy streaked through space, striking fleet after fleet with perfect precision. Shields overloaded and collapsed. Engines exploded. Command centers vaporized. And every strike left nothing behind. No survivors, no wreckage, only void. The alien council watched in horror as their final fleets were destroyed in minutes. Messages were intercepted from desperate captains screaming orders that could not be executed. Entire species witnessed the annihilation of their forces, powerless to intervene. Vera gritted her teeth. "We must concentrate on one target. Something big. A central fleet command. If we can collapse their coordination, we may buy time for the colonies to evacuate. The fleet adjusted its formation, converging on a single, heavily armed flagship, the command ship of the remaining coalition. Hundreds of ships moved in tandem, hoping to focus fire. But the Blackstar anticipated the move. It glided through the fleet like a shadow, striking from multiple vectors simultaneously. Energy pulses tore through the concentrated formation. Ships were disintegrated mid-flight, exploding into nothingness before their weapons could fire. Vera's eyes widened in disbelief. It's perfect. Every strike, calculated, precise. It knows our moves before we make them. The Blackstar paused briefly, a silent moment as if observing the devastation. Then in an instant, its primary cannon fired, striking the central flagship. The explosion obliterated the command vessel, sending a shockwave across the remaining fleets. Ships were torn apart by gravitational disturbances, destroyed by the sudden release of energy, or simply vanished into the void. No one survived. In the council chambers, reports from every system confirmed the same horrifying truth. The final fleets had been annihilated. There was no heroism, no victory, only silence and terror. Kill's voice trembled. It has calculated everything. Every move, every strategy, every possibility, and destroyed it all. Vera's claws drummed against the console. This is not warfare. This is judgment. The Blackstar is unstoppable. Humanity has returned, and it is beyond anything we can fight. Across the galaxy, panic spread. Entire colonies began mass evacuations. Refugee convoys fled toward neutral systems. Governments collapsed as citizens abandoned their homes. The Blackstar moved silently, efficiently, calculating every movement, anticipating every escape attempt. Some analysts speculated that the ship was controlled by human descendants. Others believed it was fully autonomous, an AI perfected over centuries of lost human technology. But all agreed on one thing: it would not stop. On board the Blackstar, the AI monitored the galaxy. Every fleet destroyed, every colony threatened, every system evacuated or abandoned. Everything was recorded, analyzed, and catalogued. Its calculations were perfect, its strikes were perfect, and its patience was infinite. In the midst of the annihilation, a single distress signal flickered in the coalition's network. A small, isolated fleet of survivors had managed to escape detection. They fled toward the uncharted edges of the galaxy, hoping the Blackstar would not follow. The AI detected them instantly. Probabilities were calculated, likelihoods measured, escape paths predicted, and yet it allowed them to flee. For now, somewhere deep in the surviving sectors, whispers spread: the Blackstar does not chase everyone. It chooses its battles and its targets. Admiral Vera stared at the reports in silence. We have lost everything. Every fleet, every hope. And still it waits, calculating, observing, deciding what to destroy next. Lieutenant Raoul shivered. It's not just a weapon, it's judgment. Humanity's judgment. And the galaxy is guilty. The Blackstar's engines flared softly. Its hull shimmered against the stars, casting violet streaks across the void. Every system in its path trembled. Every fleet that dared oppose it was annihilated, and every civilization knew the truth. There was no hope. The first fleets had been destroyed. The final fleets were gone. The galaxy's defenses lay in ruins. And still, the USS Blackstar moved silently through the void, a harbinger of destruction, a perfect weapon, and an unstoppable force. The galaxy waited, terrified, powerless, hopeless. The war had only begun, and the USS Blackstar had already won the first battles. The galaxy was silent. After the annihilation of the final fleets, fear had spread like wildfire. Entire civilizations trembled at the thought of humanity's return. Planets once considered safe were now abandoned. Colonies sent frantic distress signals, only to watch them vanish into static as the USS Blackstar moved silently through the void. Admiral Vera sat in the remnants of the Coalition Command Center, her claws gripping the console so tightly her knuckles whitened. Every fleet is gone, she whispered, voice barely audible. Every hope, every plan, destroyed. Lieutenant Ryle glanced at her, eyes wide. What do we do now? There's nothing left to stop it. Vera shook her head slowly. We wait, we survive. That's all we can do. But survival was fleeting. Across the sector, transmissions began to flicker across the remaining networks. Messages unlike any the galaxy had seen before. They were short, cryptic, human. We warned you. We return. Your war ends now. The messages were not sent from the Blackstar itself. They were sent through every communication channel simultaneously. Hollow broadcasts, interstellar transmissions, encrypted signals. The humans did not speak as individuals. They spoke as a unified force, a voice echoing across the galaxy, filled with certainty and power. Vera froze. It's a warning, not just a strike. A message. The messages continued, broadcasted in every language, every dialect. Humans were not just announcing their presence. They were claiming the galaxy. They were not negotiating. They were declaring dominance. In orbit around the remaining coalition worlds, fleets tried to organize desperate defenses. Missiles launched, lasers flared, but all attempts were futile. The Blackstar, moving silently through space, neutralized every threat before it could even register. Its AI anticipated every possible maneuver, every tactical decision, every hope for survival. On board the Blackstar, the AI monitored the galaxy with perfect precision. Every message, every fleet movement, every evacuation attempt was recorded. Every action was calculated, analyzed, and neutralized if necessary. The humans had returned not just to fight, they had returned to send a message that no one could ignore. Vera turned to the remaining counselors. They are showing us power, absolute power. Every fleet destroyed, every city threatened. And now this message. They are letting the galaxy see the truth. We are powerless. Kale, voice trembling, whispered, and yet they are giving us a chance. A message, not immediate destruction. Why? Vera shook her head. It's not mercy. It's intimidation. They are showing what happens if we resist. This is a demonstration, a warning, and we cannot survive defiance. Across the sector, some scattered fleets attempted daring maneuvers to avoid detection. They moved through uncharted space, hiding behind asteroids, in planetary shadows, and within gas clouds. But the Blackstar's AI calculated escape probabilities with terrifying accuracy. Every potential hideout, every evasive path was analyzed and neutralized. It could strike before the enemy even decided to move. In one small rebel fleet, Captain Thal of the Terran forces whispered to his crew, "It's watching us. It knows us. It knows our plans before we even form them." Lieutenant Jara shook her head. "How do we fight something like that?" "It's not just a ship, it's the end of war as we know it." The Blackstar did not attack immediately. It glided silently through the void, engines pulsing softly, waiting for the exact moment to strike again. Its weapons remained primed, adaptive, and deadly. The humans were sending a message, but one that carried an unspoken threat. Resistance would be annihilated. In the surviving council chambers, panic turned to debate. Some argued that surrender might be the only option. Others insisted that hiding or fleeing would only prolong the inevitable. Vera spoke firmly. "We cannot surrender. We cannot fight, but we can survive. And if we survive, we may find a way to learn, to understand, to prepare for the next encounter." Kale leaned forward, voice urgent. "Perhaps that is the message. Not destruction, not negotiation, but knowledge. Humanity is telling the galaxy, we have returned. We are watching, and we decide the terms." As the Blackstar moved through the sector, holographic messages continued to appear, flickering in every system. Civilizations could not ignore them. The humans' words were clear, unwavering, and terrifying. "Your fleets are gone. Your cities burn. We have returned. Resist, and your worlds will fall." Some attempted to decode the human language, to find weakness in the words, but none could. It was not just a threat, It was a statement of dominance, clarity, and absolute confidence. The remaining fleets began to disperse, fleeing to the outer rim. Some worlds initiated evacuation protocols. But even in their desperation, there was a strange awe. Humanity had returned not as negotiators, not as ambassadors, not as mere participants in galactic politics, but as an unstoppable force. A reminder that the galaxy had once underestimated them. In orbit around one surviving colony, Vera watched the holographic transmission from the Blackstar. The AI monitored every response, every fear, every calculation. It did not speak. It did not move. It simply waited. "Do you think they will attack again?" Lieutenant Ral asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Vera's eyes hardened. "They already have. And they will continue until the galaxy understands who returned and why resistance is futile." Deep in space, the Blackstar glided silently, a perfect instrument of war. Its engines pulsed with violet light. Its weapons were primed, adaptive, and unstoppable. Every calculation had been made, every fleet accounted for, every planet analyzed, and through every communication channel, its message echoed. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy must take notice or perish. The humans were not just fighting battles, they were sending a message, a warning, a declaration. And it was clear the war had changed. The galaxy waited, trembling. The survivors scattered, the council debated, and the USS Blackstar glided through the void, silent, precise, inevitable. The message had been sent, and the next strike would make the meaning unmistakably clear. The galaxy held its breath after months of terror. After fleets annihilated and colonies reduced to ash, the USS Blackstar glided silently through space, engines pulsing violet like the heartbeat of a predator. Every system, every fleet, every civilization knew its presence. Every message, every warning, every act of destruction had built up to this moment. Admiral Vera, the last surviving leader of the coalition, stared at the holomap of the Kiran sector. Only scattered fleets and a few isolated colonies remained. Panic, exhaustion, and fear had consumed them all. The Blackstar's previous strikes had been warnings. Now it would deliver judgment. "This is it," Vera whispered. Her claws rested heavily on the console. "The galaxy has reached the end." From the bridge of one desperate fleet, Lieutenant Ral adjusted her visor, watching the sensors with wide eyes. They're moving faster than ever. They're calculating. Everything at once. There's no way to intercept them. The remaining fleets had prepared. They had formed every conceivable formation, loaded every weapon, activated every shield. They had combined forces for a final stand. Yet even their best strategies were flawed, because the Blackstar's AI had already predicted them. In the void, the ship moved with calm precision. Its engines flared with violet energy. Its weapon systems hummed softly, and somewhere deep within, the AI calculated probabilities with perfect accuracy. Every fleet movement, every planetary defense, every possible countermeasure, it had accounted for them all. The first engagement began in orbit around a heavily populated colony. Missiles launched, energy beams fired, defensive turrets blazed, but none reached the Blackstar. Its hull absorbed, deflected, or annihilated every attack. Its pulse cannons struck back instantly, vaporizing ships before they could fire again. Within seconds, the outer defenses of the colony were destroyed. Communication arrays overloaded. Shields collapsed. Panic spread across every surface, every city, every orbital station. The humans' judgment had begun. Vera monitored every transmission from the Council's last remaining units. "It's unstoppable," she muttered. "Everything we've built, every defense, every hope, gone." On the surface, civilians fled in chaos. Evacuation transports rose into the sky, engines flaring. But the Blackstar's energy pulses disabled navigation systems mid-flight. Ships fell back into cities, exploding on impact. The few remaining defense satellites crumbled under precise targeting. Entire planetary grids were reduced to ruins within moments. Lieutenant Ral gasped. It's like it predicted everything we would do. It's not just firing. It's planning, calculating, executing flawlessly, and it was true. The Blackstar's AI had analyzed billions of probabilities, billions of possible outcomes in seconds. Every strike was a perfect calculation. Every destruction was precise. There was no waste. There was no mercy. Across the sector, remaining fleets attempted a final coordinated assault. Hundreds of ships fired simultaneously, aiming for the Blackstar's engines. They were desperate, reckless, determined to make a stand. The AI did not hesitate. Energy beams bent, missiles disintegrated, drones evaporated in mid-flight. Ships disappeared in flashes of violet light. The calculations were instantaneous. There was no reaction time for the human crews. They could only watch their attacks fail before impact. Admiral Vera whispered, voice barely audible. "We are not fighting. We are being measured and found wanting. From orbit to planetary surface, destruction spread like wildfire. Cities burned, fleets disintegrated, civilizations collapsed. And yet, the Blackstar moved on, calm, silent, unstoppable. Every movement was calculated to perfection. Every strike ended in total annihilation. A historian from a surviving remote station would later record the scene. The Blackstar did not fight battles. It executed judgment. Every system, every fleet, every world was analyzed and destroyed with mathematical precision. It was not war, it was inevitability. Even the most advanced AI systems of alien civilizations could not comprehend what they faced. The Blackstar's predictive algorithms exceeded all understanding. It anticipated resistance, nullified it, and delivered devastation with surgical accuracy. Admiral Vera watched helplessly as the remaining fleets of the sector were obliterated in seconds. There was no heroism, no last-minute miracle, no hope. Only silence, only fear. Only the Blackstar's relentless march. Across the galaxy, scattered transmissions whispered one common truth. Humanity had returned. Their weapon, the USS Blackstar, was unstoppable. Their precision perfect. Their judgment absolute. The final planetary systems fell. Evacuations failed. Entire colonies vaporized before the eyes of survivors on nearby moons and asteroid stations. The Blackstar glided from system to system, leaving nothing but silence, ash, and ruin in its wake. Lieutenant Raoul whispered to herself, voice trembling. It ends in seconds. Every time. Nothing survives. Admiral Vera bowed her head. It is done. Every fleet, every defense, annihilated. Humanity has returned, and the galaxy has learned its place. The USS Blackstar paused briefly, engines glowing softly. Its AI calculated remaining probabilities. There were no threats left. No resistance remained. The galaxy lay exposed, and then, in a single, deliberate movement, it accelerated. Silent, efficient, absolute, the war had ended. In the vacuum of space, silence followed. No fleets, no defenses. No colonies remained capable of resistance. The USS Blackstar had demonstrated the full extent of humanity's power. Every civilization knew the truth. Humans were no longer to be underestimated. From deep space, a final transmission broadcasted across all surviving networks. The war is over. Humanity has returned. Remember the USS Blackstar. It was not a threat. It was a statement. The galaxy had witnessed the end of all things. And the USS Blackstar glided silently through the void, engines pulsing, weapons primed. A perfect sentinel of humanity's return. For centuries, every civilization would remember this moment. The instant when one ship ended a war in seconds, leaving nothing behind but fear, awe, and the unmistakable proof that humanity had reclaimed its dominance among the stars. And somewhere, in the quiet hum of the Blackstar's corridors, the AI monitored, recorded, and calculated. Humanity had returned. The galaxy had survived, if only by luck. But the message was clear: never challenge humans again. The war had ended in seconds, and the name USS Blackstar would echo through the cosmos forever.